Kurome did a video on a user named Umbrus, a kid commentator in the CC, Joy. He did a video on Blazing Larvesta, who did a video on Pro Jared, a famous video game critic. I remember wanting to do a video on Doodle's commentary on the same chain before 7 Omega came in and tore it apart himself, but I think this will do nicely as a replacement.
Hey guys, it's Kuromitoa here. So today we'll be covering Blasty, aka Umbrus, and the video we're hitting is a commentary on Blazing Larvesta. Damn it! I left my white armor in the wash. Fuck it, let's Leroy Jenkins into this shit anyway!
I could barely understand a word of that towards the end. I won't touch on it much right now, because it'll be important later. However, what I will say is, if you're trying to mock doodle tones, you're doing a wonderful job at making your voice near incoherent with the speed and mumbling you're doing, so you're almost there. Now you just need to raise your pitch a few decibels to make yourself sound 6.
La di 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 da. Oh no, aka. Shoot, now I am in Kill Land. It was bound to happen at some point.
Well yeah, obviously, given that it's become the most overused cliche to be used in the CC, and doing anything else is too much work.
What point are you trying to make here? The fact that this kill land trope is overused doesn't really make a point here other than Umbrus is being lazy using the idea, and even then, I don't see how using the idea is in of itself a problem. Especially since you don't elaborate on how it's a problem that Umbrus is using kill land at all. So this point means nothing here.
I mean, apparently Sid was trying to emote in his opening skit. I'm gonna just cut away from this before me and the audience collectively commit suicide right about now.
I wouldn't go and criticize someone's ability to emote. Your entire interjection was as monotone as you're getting onto Umbrus' tone for being, and twice as awkward.
So, this is a rather unusual scenario we have here. Today I'm doing a commentary on a Halloween top 10 made by none other than famed gaming YouTuber Pro Jared.
So at first I thought you said fake, but then I realized it was fame. You need to fix your mic quality, as this will actually be important in a later interjection I'll actually make.
I think you might need to fix your ears because I heard him just fine. Legit, how you heard fake in this clip is beyond me. But you know what? Even if somehow this was actually the case, even if it did sound like he said fake, his mic quality wouldn't be the issue to point out here. That would be his ability to enunciate, which again, is fine here.
This is all subjectivity, isn't it though? I brought up my earlier complaints towards your voice changer to point out a criticism you could use to obtain a better reach to an audience, but at the end of the day, me not being able to understand you is more of a subjective thing here. As you would know what you said in your opening thoughts, someone else might know what you said in your opening thoughts, but I did not, and telling me that it's just a problem with me wouldn't change the fact that I still couldn't understand your intro statements, and you could have found a better way to get across them for others like me who probably couldn't understand you. Same goes for Umbrus here. If you could hear famed, that's fine, but Umbrus originally thought Larvesta said fake.
Now, I'll be honest, I actually really like Pro Jared as a content creator, and it honestly kind of hurts having to expose his mistakes, especially after what he's had to deal with IRL. But at the same time, this video really hit some of the wrong buttons for me. I mean, to be fair, I don't necessarily hate this video per se, but after watching it through a few times, I did notice a few mistakes here and there. Jared, if you're watching this, hello, I'm Blazing Larvesta. Today, I will be providing a critique of your top 10 scariest retro enemies not from horror games list, pointing out mistakes you made in your video and giving you advice on how to improve future works. Please note that I may make a few jokes that may come off as hurtful or insulting to you, but in the end, said jokes are purely made for entertainment purposes, and I do not actually wish any ill will towards you. With that said, I hope you enjoy my video.
Oh boy, there is a lot to unravel here. First of all, did you give us an abridged version of this in your disclaimer? And second of all, this goes on for way too long. All of this was unnecessary padding. Also, why are you acting like Jared is going to watch this? Hate to crush your dreams, buddy, but a YouTuber as big as Jared is likely will not even watch this.
Funny. You mentioned padding. And look what you're doing with this useless third point that didn't need to be here. At least with a point on the disclaimer, Sure, I can see where you're coming from. And the point on the length of the segment? Sure, okay. But this third point could have been cut out and nothing would be lost here.
Actually, Umbrus's third point is in regards to why Larvesta addressing Pro Jared in the way he did comes off as needless, being that Pro Jared is likely not going to watch the video that Larvesta did on him. Yes, the way Umbrus introduced the third point was as awkward as your first interjection, but it was to further elaborate on why it was, as he puts it, padding. If we were to take that out, then the point while would have been fine, would not have been elaborated on past the length, and that would just connect to the drag of it all.
Oh my god. Is that? No! It can't be! Off-screen footage?!
Oh my god! This is the worst thing ever!
Jeez, that scene of off-screen footage really hurt my eyes. Ow!
So we are doing this now, are we? First of all, the reason there was off-screen footage was to create an atmosphere and to make it feel like Jared is in a horror environment. If he didn't have any gameplay footage, then the viewer would be looking at a poorly lit room with nothing but Jared.
Yeah, but that doesn't debunk Larvesta's point in that the presentation of the glowing TV in the dark room hurts his eyes. All well and good to want to create atmosphere, that doesn't mean it can't be executed poorly, or in a way that causes pain to the eyes like it does for Larvesta here.
So, you'll argue against Umbrus not being able to understand Larvesta, but you'll defend Larvesta for his own personal issues of his eyes. You could literally use this same point, but with not being able to understand Larvesta as the context to your earlier point, and it would have been as valid.
Also, how the heck does it hurt your eyes?
The same way your voice hurts my fucking ears.
Again, I wouldn't talk if I were you. But more to the point, this does nothing to address what Umbrus is saying, because 1, you don't explain what that would be, and 2, even if you did, it doesn't change the fact that Umbrus is asking for Larvesta to explain the reasoning for why this hurts his eyes, as this would be a good way to give Jared criticism to why this is a problem that he should maybe fix in the future. Larvesta just left it at a crappy one-off, and explained nothing. This makes the second point where I can connect your videos to doodles.
If this is one of your crappy jokes, then work on your acting skills.
You don't want that door to open.
You still have no room to talk.
I can only name a handful of horror games that have genuinely terrified me over the years. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, PT. But you know what was way scarier? Pixels. None of this polygon
what was the point of that? Like, really, you could keep your original videos curse words in. An example of this is Jonah. He did beep out the curse words when he covered the Dark Commentator, so why? And this isn't even in Jared's video. He just said bullcrap, which, mind you, isn't really a curse word.
I mean, honestly, it could be for any damn reason at this point.
That doesn't debunk anything.
But more importantly, I love how you don't play any clips of Jared's original video, or Jonah's for that matter, to back up your claims.
Well, as far as Jared's original video goes, that's already in the video. Yes, it's censored by Larvesta, so we can't hear that Jared said bullcrap, but at the end of the day that doesn't really matter, as what Umbrus fails to understand is how Larvesta may see bullcrap as a swear word anyway, so he still wishes to censor it. Just because Umbrus doesn't see it as taboo, doesn't mean Larvesta wouldn't as well. Now, as far as Jonah's video goes, I guess he could show clips to strengthen his point, but like Happy Matty, he pointed Larvesta in the direction of something that he could look at, being Jonah Smith's video on the Dark Commentator, Jonah Smith being a commentator notorious for avoiding swears in his video, but still didn't censor the original video he covered. You don't really require a clip if you know where to look, and that was given to you. But if you really want it.
So that's why I wanted to get that off my chest before I started the commentary. Cyberbullying isn't real. Just turn off the fucking monitor.
Cyberbullying isn't real. Cyberbullying isn't real.
All that took was 2 seconds to look up on Jonah's channel.
But even better than that, this entire point's nitpicking, you damn well know it.
Well, 1. Not inherently. What if Larvesta was censoring something important to the video in an attempt to hide evidence? Censoring the video would be terribly dishonest to his audience, no? But because he didn't hear, let me bring up 2. While it's nitpicking, you don't explain why it's incorrect. So I'm just left wondering where this point is.
Back when imagination was used to fill the void, and it was gruesome.
You say, as you cite 2 polygon-based games and no pixel games that scared you? Double standards are the best.
A rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. Sorry, but how does Jared listing 2 games that don't have sprites make him have double standards? On top of that, Eternal Darkness and PT, RIP by the way, were just examples of games that Jared got spooked by.
The definition of double standards didn't help your point here, so that was beyond useless to read off.
Except to explain that Larvesta was misusing the phrase double standards, but I guess let's ignore that for a narrative.
Secondly, if Jared is saying polygon-based games aren't what scares him, and that pixel-based ones are, after listing 2 polygon-based games as games that scare him, that's more of a contradiction than a double standard. Something you feel the point out, by the way.
A rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. Sorry, but how does Jared listing 2 games that don't have sprites make him have double standards?
As I just said, he was listing off the definitions to explain to Larvesta that he was misusing the phrase double standards, and you ignored that for a narrative. He read off the definition then asked Larvesta where the double standards are, implying that there wasn't any double standards to be had. Also, if I can point out another thing you fail to understand, Kurom, is that Pro Jared never said that polygon games didn't scare him, just that pixelated games scared him more, so it's not even a contradiction within that regard. So not only did you fail at criticizing Umbrus with needless padding, but you also fail to criticize Larvesta as well.
Ever play Ski Free? This game was pretty much on every Windows machine in the early 90s. It was so relaxing. You ski downhill in one of 3 different courses, and it was just super pleasant. You're feeling the fresh, cool air in your face, hitting other people, and doing sick jumps and jump flips for mad points. This was the ultimate wind-down game for Windows users long before— what the No!
Okay, what makes this Yeti enemy scary? Honestly, Jared, making a speaks for itself segment like this is probably the laziest thing you can do in a countdown. Segments like these don't explain why a segment is on a countdown, leaving viewers confused as to what in the world happened. Not only that, but in this case, the footage you show really doesn't do a good job at explaining why the Yeti is scary either, as it just shows the monster, who looks like something straight out of a 3-year-old's drawing no less, chasing after your character and gobbling them up. And while, yes, that is admittedly a little unnerving, the footage shown just makes the Yeti come off as a random jump scare. Jump scare. Jump scare.
Well, there you have it, folks. He just said it would come off as a random jump scare. You do know that something that is scary is something completely subjective. Maybe the fact that Yeti comes out of nowhere, he comes out of nowhere, he comes out of nowhere, he comes out of nowhere.
A scary thing that pops out at you from out of nowhere? Like one of those jump scares?
That is literally his point.
Also, oh hey Jokey Still from Doodle Tones, how are you doing on this fine evening? And it's worse here since there's not much of a punchline here compared to the crashing sound effect Doodle used, so TLDR, learn to meme.
Do I even need to bring up your shitty Killland intro skit again? I know hypocrisy doesn't make you wrong, but if you're aware enough to spot Larvesta doing this, it astounds me you weren't able to catch yourself doing it too, is all I'm saying.
I'm fairly sure he is aware, given that he claims it was bound to happen at one point, and was using it to try and do something new with it, whereas Larvesta was not. Given in Doodle's video on Larvesta, it has the same purpose.
I'll admit, I'm cheating here since Flipno Studio 3D technically isn't a game, but it was still a huge disappointment and I still feel the need to rant about it.
Not a justification.
That purpose being, to point out how the original video's countdown broke its own rules and criteria. There was actual plagiarism going on with Larvesta's video, whereas Umbrus was at worst, just using a common commentary community cliché in his video, and also unlike your earlier point, Umbrus explains how it's a bad thing, given that Larvesta ruins the punchline of the original joke. That's it, the video is over, there's just a lot of moments that Kurome misunderstands Umbrus's video. I will say it was better than Doodle's carelessness attempt at debunking nothing, so you got that, but there's just a lot of misinterpretation of Umbrus's points and that's very disappointing. Anyway, this has been Pink Robot, until next time.